Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Download. It's Friday. It's 2:00 UK time. And we're going to talk about the things that made us smile, the things that made us go over the last week. And we'll get into the introduction. So go first, Mike. Please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Garrison, Values-Based Mindset, and really, really blessed to be a part of this crew here at DLA.
And just so you know, Mike's been on caffeine for the last 3 hours.
Oh, no.
Eric.
I think it's been 3 years.
Hello, everybody. I'm Thomas Ross. I'm one of the founders of Social Selling HQ and a very active and proud partner of DLA Ignite Global.
Thank you, Thomas. And Lenwood.
Hi, I'm Lenwood Ross. I'm the founder and CEO of Accelerate and also a partner of DLA Ignite here in the United States.
Cool. And Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam Gray. I'm Tim's business partner and also co-founder of DLA Ignite.
And Brandon.
Hey everybody, I am Brandon. I'm the founder of Funnel Amplified and, like the rest, a proud partner of DLA Ignite.
And last but not least, Eric Doyle, Crux.
Good to be here. My name's Eric from Crux, based in Scotland, and I'm just one of the gang.
Aberdeenshire.
Aberdeen City.
It's okay to be from the Shire.
I'm actually moving to the Shire.
He's in the city, but he's going to Shire.
Lenwood, that makes us sound like hobbits.
Yes.
Exactly.
grow your beard a bit. You'd be like Gandalf, can't you?
Exactly.
Hello, Odessa. Thanks for tuning in. So, Brandon, do you want to kick things off?
Sure, I would love to.
Because I know that you've had a number of really interesting conversations with sales leaders this week.
Yeah, so
you've been storing them up because you put them out on a blog, wasn't it, this week? It was good fun.
Yes. So two different conversations. One is an SDR manager, and then the other one is a sales leader of a wholly owned subsidiary of a Fortune 100 company.
And an SDR being sales development, so they're like going out and creating leads.
Yeah, a lot of cold calling, email cadences, sequences that give them activity. So basically they log in every day and their platform tells them who to call and which emails are going out or which emails to send out, and their job is to create meetings for their BDR or AE, right? So there's the model. I will start with the sales manager or the VP of sales, SVP of sales first. Conversation was around him investigating social selling, what it is, how it can work for his team, what are the KPIs that we track and help them with social-based sales activities. And the comment was, well, and we had a couple of conversations, and the comment was kind of a downtrodden, well, I just got the message down from the top that we need to make more phone calls and we need to send more cold emails because our production isn't there.
So they haven't got the pipeline.
They don't have the pipeline. And, I was like, I am so sorry. Like, where are your thoughts go in this? Because my thoughts go in a lot of direction, but I wanted to hear his feedback. And his biggest concern,
I remember, you could let's ring up my 1970 Tim Hughes.
Yeah. Right.
In my mind, he looks a bit like Austin Powers. That's how I'm picturing that.
So the phone scripts had several yeah babies in it. Is that what you're implying?
Groovy baby.
Groovy baby.
Yeah. Let's do that deal, baby.
Right. That was part of the training to affirm your buyer. Yeah. Groovy baby. You're right on. Yes. All right. So back to this. So his message, what he said to me, he goes, it frustrates me because I already know what's going to happen because I've already been experiencing it. and now all this is going to escalate, is that I'm going to have to drive more calls, more emails. It's kind of a soul-sucking behavior because such little response rate. And my team's going to either, you know, combinations of burnout, frustration, but it's all going to lead to the same thing, is that I'm going to have higher turnover. And then I'm going to be in this perpetual cycle of hiring, training, replacing, hiring, training, replacing. The SDR manager, very similar conversation that ended, you know, kind of led to, well, can SDRs really use social to make a difference? Because they tend to be less experienced, newer, and we're talking about them being thought leaders or, you know, sharing content of value to higher ups. Is that even possible? And the second question was, how long will that take? Like, we're talking years, right? Like they need 9 months, 6 months, a year. And we have 30-day goals that we need to really hit. So those were the conversations. And I've talked too much already. Let me throw it out to you all on your response to it.
Had exactly the same meeting with a really influential prospect organization from the head of their SDRs, the sort of SDR manager, saying that a global organization, exactly the same, just validating your story, that we are in a position where the pressure's on to increase the number. So we kind of struggled to meet the number last quarter, but the next quarter's is bigger. So the pressure's on me to deliver. I'm already looking at a bunch of people who you know, are already burnt out their iPhones with the amount of calls they're making and emails that they're sending. But the message has come down: make more calls, do more emails. And the reason I ended up talking to this guy is because a bunch of their SDRs had gone out to people like us and said, "Can you help? Can you help me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, just by giving me some tips. Just tell me what to do, because I can't." So, you know, as a result,
I get it all the time. All the time.
As a result of speaking to a young SDR who was like, I'm struggling. I'm going to be fired because but I read what's going on in social, and I'm tuned into a bunch of people. I show them to my management team, and they just say, "Can you stop looking at the internet, please? Because you've got calls to make." So then the SDR manager said, "Can you show me what this is all about? Because I'm really interested." And he's trying to set up meetings with his senior team, who are just like, "Yeah, this is all fine, but if we're taking time away, guys, from calling and emailing and getting that in the door, then we're wasting our time." Yeah. So there's that beautiful blockage of the people who are supposed to be leading and seeing the future and bringing in all that information into the company to give you that edge, and actually becoming the blockers.
But that's the corporate equivalent of the LinkedIn police saying this is not the right kind of content to share on LinkedIn. It's a business network, isn't it? People that are refusing to be pragmatic enough to look at the results and say, actually, this is delivering more in value than this is delivering. Therefore, we should be focusing on this. What they do is they keep banging their head against this wall because that's the way that it's always been, or has been previously.
You know, it gets worse. So I think we've all got examples, and I've got one too, very similar. Only their solution in this case, and this is a rather large global company. Their solution in the mix with what we've proposed is to bring in a sales enablement tool. Right.
So the answer is always a tool.
Technology we're not using correctly.
You know, if the team can't send out enough emails, this is going to do it. And if the team can't populate, the engage, this is so. And of course, it's just the same old, but on steroids. And so that's how they pick up the pace. But more importantly, because it's not really about that at all. It's about the ability of whether it's an SDR manager or a sales manager or a VP of this or a VP of that or the CMO. They're looking for a Band-Aid, right? And I was talking to Tim earlier, and they're looking for bubble gum in the radiator, right? And they're hoping to just make it to the next gas station before they actually get exposed for what's really going on. And you know, the truth is, it's hard to get exposed when nobody knows what they're looking at anyway. But nonetheless, it's important that we as a team draw out these actual examples and really look at what's going on and call it out for what it is, because changes have to be made. And without us as a group, as a team, global, we need to be rocking the boat, baby.
I've just got an image of a floor of SDRs with like delivery men bringing in a big old-fashioned robot, the Mailbot 5000, and them all looking over at it going, it's got 400 fingers, and it just emails.
I was watching the comments coming in from Robert, and I was thinking to myself, what we should do is we should go back over all of these different things that we've run, and we should collate all of Robert's comments into a book, shouldn't we? Because they're all pearls of wisdom. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Tim,
Yeah.
the thing I would add based upon 30 years of work with companies on creating sustainable sales is that if you are looking to continually innovate through efficiency in your sales process, you're going to fail. You know, and I've seen this before social media, and we see it all the time now. And the problem with emailing and spamming and cold calling and all these things is that fundamentally they don't lead to higher performance in individual behavior. They just lead to being human beings acting more like machines. And that's just not really sustainable if you understand how to run a company. And I would just say that, like what everybody shared here, is the big problem we have in financial services. For so long, the entire way that you became successful in the industry is that you had to go through this horrible steal kind of experience where you cold called your way into somehow begging for enough business. And then the reason they have one of the worst retention rates of any profession is because at 3 years, they don't know how to actually do the work, right? They know how to sell the product. They know how to acquire clients through brute force, but they don't know how to service clients. They don't know how to build networks, and they don't know how.
No, Mike, it's not that they don't know; it's that they don't want to do it.
Well, no, that's
one of the.
I'm talking about.
No, but the challenge is that people,
I'm not talking about the CEOs, right? And that's
this is the individuals within an organization. My experience of dealing with people is that most people are lazy. So you, Mike, work hard. You, Thomas, work hard. Len works hard. Eric works hard. Tim works hard. Brandon works hard. I work. We all work hard. What we do is we create. We create content. We create opportunities. We create relationships. We create communities. And out of that comes our value, our revenue, our sales. And what we see, or what I see, is that people are not prepared to put in the legwork. So we see that at companies where we see that what happens is they recognize that the old ways of doing things aren't working, and they recognize that what they need to do is equip and do the stuff that we talk about. You know, they need to be forging a sense of community, creating content, growing their networks, growing their influence. All of those things is what they need to do. And they say, yes, I need to do that, but I won't, because it's either scary or it's too much like hard work, or it's another hour a day of something that I need to do to safeguard my future, because they're lazy. And I see it in companies, prospects and clients. I see it in other people in our industry who try to piggyback on our work and our relationships. And it's very easy to watch a relationship develop and then go in and say, I can do the same thing at a reduced rate, but actually the race to the bottom is a fundamentally bad thing to do. And Tim and I have faced this a number of times, you know, in our niche. We faced this. We were developing some business in Singapore, and somebody was doing this, and at the end of the day, you have to start to block and cut people out of your network if they're doing that. But also, you know, we see this with clients. We see that they're going into battle using old tools, and what they're not doing is generating stuff from scratch. And whilst we're all looking for low-hanging fruit, you grow your network in the areas that you think you need to grow it. You publish some content, you see the people that engage with that content, and then you try to strike up a conversation with those people. That's absolutely not the same as being lazy. Being lazy is not investing the time in growing your own opportunities, not investing the time in growing your own skills, simply keep turning the handle on the old things that don't work, or trying to piggyback on somebody else's work. And I just find this inherent behavior of lazy both upsetting and very angering.
Yeah, I would like to. I actually think that there's actually more responsibility on leadership, and there is a certain amount of laziness, but when people are incentivized to do certain things because they want to keep a roof over their head or they want to drive a nice car or what have you, they'll do those things. And the problem that I see is that people are looking to technology. Adam, you mentioned they're using the wrong tools. Yes, they're using the wrong tools, but the reason they're using the wrong tools is because they don't understand that their behavior needs to change. And they don't understand that their behavior needs to change because they don't understand that the rules of the games have changed because technology is changing everything.
Absolutely. I do think that it's a mindset thing, though. So, Odessa's comment here, all fruit picking takes words. Absolutely, of course it does. But you can only go and pick the strawberries until the strawberries run out. And, fundamentally, we all need to be planting the strawberry bushes and creating a bigger environment. The challenge that I see is people trying to take shortcuts. So when we see it with the apps, so you were talking about technology solving the problem. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace myself with a bot, and the bot will go and surf LinkedIn, and it will find those people that are prospective buyers for my product or service. And then when those people are ready to buy
on autopilot,
I will take the place of the bot. And then I will go and have that conversation and close that piece of business. But the problem with that is that I'm trying to sell to Tim. And when I'm not there as a buyer as well as a seller, the buyers gradually migrate from the platform. So if Tim, who is my prospective customer, is not also getting the opportunity to sell something to me, it becomes a one-way street. And Tim then says to himself, why am I even on this platform? Because everything that I'm getting is inbound sales requests, not inbound opportunities.
I've got a mate who works in social media who says he doesn't use LinkedIn because it's just full of spammers.
Yeah. Doesn't use what, Tim?
LinkedIn.
Would you guys agree that like the aspirational message in Adam's response to what I was saying is that the days of being a victim as an individual sales performer are up to you? Like that's a choice because the information's out there, the stuff's out there where you can actually control your own pipeline.
Absolutely. But I think that the way that you get to control your own pipeline is that you take individual responsibility for doing that stuff. Mm-hmm. So within a corporate environment, that's about you going and forging your own conversations with people and your own relationships with customers that would be a good fit for you, and creating your own content to develop those conversations. So turning around to marketing and saying, I need another brochure is not solving the problem because you're the thing that's the USP. In exactly the same way that me sidling up to Tim and saying to him, I really like your girlfriend. So actually she likes bald men. Therefore, I'm going to strike up a conversation with her. It is simultaneously ineffective because I can only chat her up so many times before Tim turns around and punches me in the face. And also lazy because there's only one girl to go around in that scenario. So actually what happens is you end up cutting off your nose to spite your face, don't you?
I love the fact that 50% of your analogies all revolve around you nicking Tim's girlfriend.
I know.
Yeah. Now you mention it, there's probably an undercurrent there. No, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know, this absolutely is an opportunity for people to create. What they have to do is take responsibility for originating the relationships, originating the content, originating the methodology that they're using to do it, and the processes that they develop. Because, you know, Tim is a different person to me. Therefore, how he organizes his day to produce his content, to start his relationships, is different from how I do it, or from how you do it, or how anyone else does it.
So Brandon shared some content on our internal Slack channel about that 57% of sales reps are expected to miss quota this year.
Wow.
Well, there's an easy solution to that. First thing you do is dump 57% of the sales force, and retrain the rest.
In the first place.
Well, you know, the
What'd you say, Brandon?
Don't hire him in the first place. Sorry.
Yeah,
Thomas,
the problem is though that if there's a million openings and a million salespeople, everybody's going to get employed at some point. Maybe the issue is that people's quotas are not being set appropriately.
Just going by how this week's gone and some of the meetings I've had, there is someone somewhere listening to this going, "Ooh, 43% of them are going to make it." Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that laziness thing. You know, when Tim and I worked together in a big company, and the number of people in that company whose idea of success was not getting sacked at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know, if I just hold on for another 12 months, everything will be all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Staggering.
Thomas, I interrupted you. I am so sorry. I want to
No. It's all good. This is what this is all about. But I'll reiterate. You know, this is the time we're doing budgets. We're going through what we're going to do for 2022. We're hopefully having these conversations, and all of us, I imagine, are getting a lot of messaging and questions being asked from small and large companies as to what they should do and what they're doing wrong. And this is an opportunity not only for you to figure out where you need to be and what you need to do, but to clean house, right? Yeah. And you need to clean house, and you've got people on your team that are right there with you and want to do this, and we hear from them every day asking us how to improve what they want to do. So you've got players on your team that are up for this, but then you've got players on your team that are happy to sit on the bench and get a paycheck and just stay there until you get rid of them. So get rid of them, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're the owner of a business and a CEO, that might mean some leadership changes as well.
Hey, Thomas.
Just saying.
So go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, you know, the insight I have, I was just thinking about some conversations Eric and I have had, you know, in the past, that part of the reason that 57% of them are not making quota, and I think it's actually worse, is because most businesses are competing for the lower performers. They're not really set up. When you look at what's happened with COVID, and when you look at how the best performing salespeople are always being recruited by other companies. Like, I'm not talking about recruiting great salespeople, but are you actually set up to compete, to be in an organization that's going to attract the salespeople that will make quota?
It's a great question. I would say if they're forcing people to make cold calls and emails, that they're probably not, because the best salespeople try to find, well, at least in some industries, I'll speak to the tech industry, they try to find the best technologies, the hottest technology, because they want to make the most money. So they're looking for, you know, the leadership teams that, you know, are encouraging the right moves and the best technologies and things for them to sell.
But we started this discussion in terms of the fact that salespeople or SDRs are saying they don't have the right tools or the right skills.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So and they're being told from leadership to do something which they know doesn't work.
Right.
Leadership doesn't work, or the SDR knows doesn't work.
The SDRs know that cold calling and email doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. Because we know that, because they keep coming to us saying it doesn't work, but we're having to make more calls and send more emails, and the results of that is zero. So we're asking to spend a whole load of effort and time in doing something that's going to get us nowhere. So what would you do as a salesperson? You'd resign.
Leave.
Well,
So Brandon actually said earlier on, we're in this situation where what we're doing and we're spending all our time doing is onboarding people and training people to basically then work out within the first 3 months that what they've bought into is a heap of shit. And what they then do is resign. And so what businesses are doing are just churning through people and just spending loads and loads of time, and their pipeline gets shitter and shitter and shitter because they're doing all the wrong things. Sorry, Brandon.
It's employee shrink.
No,
that's what it is. Shrinkage.
Yeah. So as we got into the conversation, we were talking about personal responsibility, right? And so Amy Franco's book, The Modern Seller, she talks about 6 characteristics, and one of them is entrepreneurial. And she, and I think she's right with this. Like, salespeople we're in a stage where the sales playbook that your company is training and pushing, if it's not working, and as Lenwood said, you want to keep a roof, you want to drive a nice car, you want to make money, you got to go figure out what to do. And, Dave Luark, who was on my Associate Sales Live last week, and I know, Tim, you really enjoyed what he had to say. He took that on 18, 20 months ago. Now I can't remember the exact time, but, when he moved to a new company, he came to me and said, hey, I want to talk about this because I know I can't do the same things I've done before. I got to do stuff differently. And he and I kept talking over time. And in his first full 12 months with this company, he was the second, hit number 2 in sales, because he did things differently. He took social on. He started creating content. He was sharing content. He was, approaching prospects from a, hey, I want to add value to you, not, hey, do you have time for a demo? And it worked for him. And he set the example. And I've had a lot of conversations over the last several weeks with salespeople that have said, I want to go through your training. Can you equip me to take it to my leadership and seek budget for it? And currently, lots of them are at strikeouts because they're not getting budget approval. And some of them come back and said, I just want to pay for this myself then, because I know I need it. Whether I stay here or I go somewhere else, I need to invest in me because the old playbook's not working. And I think that's the model that we need to encourage, is that if you want to be successful, you got to go find what's working for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example. And I've trained more than a few people one-on-one who have done exactly that, Brandon. And in fact, I've got one in particular, and I'm not going to do a shout out here in this case, but who did what you guys just talked about. Actually ended up leaving the company they were with because they came to the realization that the company just isn't going to change. And they went doing what we prescribed only from that perspective, in that they went looking for a digital company. So they went looking for an organization that was taking steps. They may not be there, but they're taking steps. And that's what this particular individual's done, and has now found a great position with them and is in a leading role to do that. So I think you guys hit the nail on the head. If the company's not doing it, then you have to do it. And if that means you need to leave the company, and you need to make that decision for yourself because you are the boss of your own enterprise, then you do that. Don't wait around, because it won't do you any good in the long run. I totally agree.
That's so good.
I want to just speak to sort of the executives, the management teams, and just share a little history because it's actually really very relevant. In the 1920s, there was a new technology on the scene that was really shaking up the horseshoe, saddle industry. It's automobiles, okay? Even though there weren't roads, even though all of a sudden we got all these automobiles.
They'll never catch on.
What'd you say?
They'll never catch on.
They'll never catch on.
They'll never catch on. Right. So, and Adam used an analogy, about horseshoeing a couple of weeks ago, which was great. So anyway, this is relevant for a lot of different reasons. So in 1926, I believe, Henry Ford announces that he's going to a 5-day work week. So before then, people had to work 6 days a week in the factory. Ford announces, I'm going to a 5-day work week, 8 hours a day. That's, and he did it for a couple of reasons. One reason was he saw an opportunity to give his people more rest, but he was thinking bigger than that, because if people have time off, they need more clothes. If they need more clothes to go to entertainment, they'll be in their car. He's thinking like big, really big picture, right? But then the other reason that he did it was because he had to hire 57,000 people every year to fill something like 20,000 jobs. So he said, wait a minute, people are coming onto my factory line, they're burning out, leaving, and so I got to try and find somebody else. So, it's kind of the same kind of situation. It's like you've got to change what you're doing so you can keep your people, or you're just going to keep burning through people at an ever increasing rate. It's not going to get you anywhere. You got to start thinking like Ford. Right? You got to start.
It's a great example. And what did Ford just announce this week?
I don't know.
$11 billion investment in EV manufacturing.
Doesn't surprise me. These digital technologies, and this is the thing that I think a lot of I'll call them 80s, 90s managers, okay, even the 2000s managers, right? It's no longer about efficiency. It's about innovation. These digital technologies are impacting every organization, or I should say every industry. So it's not like in Ford's time, it was just really, he actually had the vision to see that there were going to be new industries created because of the automobile. Right? We're not just talking to the horseshoe folks today and the saddle folks today. You know what I mean? You've got to have some, ability to see the world around you that's changing and see what's happening. Right? They're all new industries
don't like
that are
change,
coming.
though, do they?
What'd you say?
People don't like change, though, and that's the point. I know how the telephone works. I know how the email works. I don't know how social works. Therefore, I'm not going to adopt it.
Yeah,
and
but those are the cultural things that the CEO is responsible for changing in the organization, so that organization can survive. You can get Polaroided, you can get Kodak, you can get Sears.
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't the issue that we're all in that boat, though? So we use product X, and product Y comes along, and product Y is better. It's slicker, it's cheaper, it's faster, it's more efficient. But we know how to work product X, so we stay with it. So Microsoft Word versus Pages, or whatever versus whatever. Yeah, exactly. And people don't want to move from Lotus Notes to Outlook or whatever. And the reason they don't is that actually I know where all the buttons are on Lotus Notes.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you've updated your iPhone, you will have seen that Safari now puts the address bar at the bottom of the page rather than the top of the page.
I don't like that.
Everyone looks at it and goes, I don't like that very much. Obviously, the advantage is that if you need to change, or you want to change page or scroll back or forward, you don't have to scroll to the top of the page to do it now, because it's always visible on the bottom.
And that's why you should just download the Google app and stop using Safari, because it's rubbish.
Well, maybe. But my point is that it gets better, yet we don't want to change because the buttons aren't in the same place.
It's so interesting to me, real quick, Eric, and I'll be done. What Ford did was they shifted the industry that horse and buggy was in from transportation to recreation. Like, they actually shifted an entire industry from one sector to another. And I think that's happening right now.
Oh, it's definitely happening right now. With technology is changing the very nature of all things. And something that Adam pointed out that I would just like to, Apple one of the most innovative companies in the world continues to innovate. Like, that's an important point, that executives at lagging companies that are not making these changes, they need to see that these companies that are innovating, they're going into new industries. They're building whole new markets, and they're doing it at a very rapid rate. All these big companies that are, the FANG companies that are out in front, they're accelerating, they're continuing to innovate while you're like twiddling your thumbs.
It's happening in business consumer. If you think about the way that we buy things, in the past, what happened was that you had to go to a shoe shop to buy stuff. Now what you can do is buy the stuff online. You get 5 pairs of shoes delivered to you. You try them all on at home, and you send 4 of them back. And because of the way that fintech has changed things, you haven't even had to pay for them. So you can use my partner's 26-year-old has one of these buy now, pay later apps. So he buys the 5 pairs of shoes, doesn't pay for them, and by the time he sent them back, he's not had to pay for them. It's fundamentally, the way that we buy is fundamentally changed, both from a business consumer and to a business to business. And what happens is that business to consumer, we're not shielded from that in business to business, because if we're used to doing it on a day-to-day basis and buying stuff on our iPhones and stuff in business to consumer, we start doing that in business to business.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. You know what?
It's like King Canute. It's like King Canute, basically sitting on the shore, basically saying, "I don't want the waves to come in, because they're going to come in."
I have a question for us.
Go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
Sorry, Thomas, but we tend to talk a lot about this because I think we're frustrated, and we see people are frustrated, and perhaps leadership isn't seeing it. Change is scary, whatever. I'd love to see what can we do? And maybe we need to hear from other people. What can we do to help other than what we all already do? We create content, we share it, we do digital download. You got the breakfast burrito, Mike's got a podcast, I've got a podcast, we're sharing content message, What else can we do? How are we able to help leadership see, experience, touch, imagine, I don't know what the right word is, but hit that aha moment?
Well, I think we're doing that to some degree, and just to take off on that and what Lenwood said, because I really love what Lenwood said, is that it starts at the top, right? And if the CEO and the leader doesn't have vision, then nobody else is going to have vision. It really is that simple. And getting to your point with respect to that, how? So the how is for the CEO to partake and the leadership in opportunities and events like the ones that we can do and that we do, wherein they can learn what's going on in the digital world and learn how that may or may not impact their business and what aspects of that they need to look at right now. And they need to have actual digital workshops with teams like ours and with people like us who can come in and not tell them what time it is, but in fact tell them what they need to be doing as an organization based upon where they're at and what their priorities are today. And that's what needs to happen. We need to fundamentally change the current pattern for many CEOs and leadership teams by showing them the reality that we're all discussing today. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, the problem is though that it's, if it doesn't agree with your world map, it's wrong. And we see that in from people from religious and political and structural and policy decisions. You have your own map of the world that you're invested in. And if something comes that destabilizes that map because it doesn't fit in with your world map, you just simply say, well, that's clearly wrong. And that's why when we go on to any piece of social media, particularly the personal social media platforms like Facebook, we end up seeing content from people that validate our view of the world, no matter how broken and tilted that view of the world is. So what happens is, I fear a lot of the time, that CEOs know that they need more revenue. They know that the way you generate revenue is you advertise, because that's what in the MBA that they took 20 years ago, you generate visibility and recognition of the brand. So you have a compelling modern brand. Well, let's rebrand first. We advertise that brand out to people because a percentage of those people remember the brand. And then death is a powerful motivator. Yeah. We advertise that out to people. Some of those people then contact us. We put them on a database. We email those people regularly until they're ready to buy. And this, I know, is the way that it works. And we get our sales reps to phone these people up because everyone's accessible on the phone. Everyone in the world, everyone on the planet has got a phone. We phone these people up and we have a conversation with them. And that's how it's always been. And actually, the fact it isn't like that at all anymore doesn't matter, because they've got an MBA from Harvard from 20 years ago that tells them this is exactly how it is. And until they get that death is a powerful motivator moment when they go, I've been worshipping the wrong God, then all of a sudden, then they're receptive. And that's why, as you said, Thomas, we're doing the right things. We're talking to these people all the time. We're putting the content out there. Sometimes, I talk about my experience with the book 7 Habits. I read it when I was in my 20s. It was crap. I read it when I was in my 30s. It was crap. I read it in my 40s. It was brilliant. The book hadn't changed. And this is the point. When these people are ready to receive that information and really hear the message, they will.
This really hurts me. This is really painful. I'm going to have to agree with Adam on something. This is a moment, Eric.
I have a suspicion that you're going to half agree and then not agree.
No. So here's the thing. You know what? Adam's right. You're all freaking lazy.
Oh, here comes the Coffee Express.
But here's the thing, right? We're talking about industrial revolution. We're talking about all these things, and yet salespeople, to a great extent, across an industry, which is an industry that can impact so many people in so many more ways than just commerce. Salespeople are relatively apathetic about the future of their career. And I just like to say, like, my summation of what Adam said earlier is you have to own your own pipeline because you can. And when you do that, you get the results that Thomas just talked about, which Brandon just talked about, which Eric, all of us could talk about, meaning that when the salesperson owns their own pipeline, that means they own their own brand and they are the company and the companies will get them. I think that the way that we do it, and I'm working on something for it, just as a teaser, I think one of the ways we do it is we don't just go top down with the CEO, but we also need to empower, I didn't say that other word, we need to empower the individual sales reps to take ownership of their own pipeline. So there's my culpa. Adam, I apologize.
Can I expand on that real quick too? Is that at least in the U.S., I think another challenge we have, and I've experienced this with my kid, is school now teaches them not to be critical thinkers, but just to do what they're told. And then they get into the work world and they just have that mindset of just do what you're told, which is make the phone calls, send out the emails. We're going to, you're listening to your client in this ear and we're speaking to you in this ear, trying to tell you what to do or what to say. And there's AI that's listening to the conversation and telling you sentiment and, what you need to do next. And we're turning people into robots. I think we talked about that last week as well. So I don't know the right answer, but I can see a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I want to agree with Adam. I agree with him a little bit more than Mike, but but I want to agree with Adam about what I'll just term noise. It's really challenging out there for executives making business decisions when you've got people who are still selling products and still selling behaviors that they themselves know don't work. MailChimp just a couple of weeks ago was sold for $13 billion and so on, or something like that. And so as an executive sees that an email automation tool was just sold for $13 billion and they that equates in their minds there must be value in that product. But I will challenge you if the CEO of MailChimp thinks now's the time to sell. Okay.
And MailChimp didn't ever take any VC funding. So
No
he's
VC
Right.
funding. He
Yeah,
became
they
a billionaire,
weren't
and
forced
he's
to sell.
cashing out.
and he's cashing out. Yeah, it's
He's
the same-
cashing out. He
It's
sold
the same
MailChimp to
with,
people who
there's
know.
been a whole bunch of email companies that basically cashed out over the last
Yeah,
2 or 3 years.
well, there's a reason they're cashing out.
Well,
But-
I mean,
but of course, that'll be
HubSpot CMO even goes online and tells you that it's a 98% failure rate. The HubSpot CMO, and they sell email marketing.
Yeah.
Look at the bright side of things. It's better than cold
Like,
calling.
duh.
Yeah, and by the way, the HubSpot team is right now innovating to do something different because
Of course.
Go ahead,
Well,
Aaron.
I mean,
because
sales-
they know that the end is near. I mean,
Yeah.
they know that the change is coming. That's
Well, I mean, I wrote an article the other day. Why have cold calling gurus stopped talking about cold calling? I mean,
'Cause
Jeb,
no one's
what's his
buying.
name? Basically, he's put out. I'm on his email list. You know, he's selling virtual selling, virtual sales training. Why would you do that? Because you know the cold calling game's over.
it's over.
It's over, guys.
Well-
And you know what do? Do you walk away and take your acetates home, or what do you do?
And recently, another big company that has built a business around email cadences and cold calls has rebranded, shifted their message around being a revenue generating platform. And there's no new features yet, but with the rebrand, I suppose that something's coming to shift it because the efficacy of those two key features is dropping dramatically.
Dramatically dropping. So
And they have an over 60%. Over 60% of the people that sign in the first year don't sign in the second year.
That's right.
I mean, that is
tremendous
a
churn.
major problem for organization if you're
But are they
selling
at number
sales
one?
enablement and people aren't re-signing.
Quality products.
So anyway,
yeah, well,
Eric,
that's my big thing is, and Adam talks about this all the time. It's not the tool.
Eric.
Anyway,
A
So
fool with
you
a
wanted
tool
to
is
raise
still a
something,
fool.
didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it fits, but because this has been an excellent discussion. I just enjoyed. I realized I'd been listening for about 10 minutes straight, because just enjoying what I was hearing. But I suppose this maybe touches into what Lenwood, Thomas, Adam, Mike, Brandon, and yourself have been talking about, but maybe not. Let's put it out there. So I'm fed up this week. I love the subject of meaningful connection on social. I love the topic of seeing organizations become mature and social and finding a path through to a new place, a new life, like putting on the VR goggles and then getting into Avatar, getting into that beautiful world where their situations improve and all of that. And I deeply love the transition. I guess if you were to pressure wash everything that I do for a living away, it's the individual coaching part that I get my real juice from. I'm fed up because I love this subject. I love social media. I love being around it. But one of the things that's really beginning to grate, it's like a cheese grater on the side of my head. And I don't have a lot of a protection on the side of my head, as you can see. It's straight through to the skin, is when I see people who are confused, and lots of people, CEOs, CMOs, salespeople, regular Joes and Joannes are very confused about social. They're reading a lot about it, and they're seeing certain people on social media who say they know the way and they know what to do.
Influencer type people.
Influencer type people, who say they know what to do and they have all the keys and they've got the 100,000 following, they've got the thousands of likes and engagement on their content and all of that. So therefore, people put their chips on that person. This person knows what to do. This person knows what to do. So if that person then starts putting out fake, jokey, crappy stuff for clickbait, if that person starts putting out stuff which is meant to just generate controversy or be funny or be blah, blah, I mean, I don't mean funny in a sort of like funny contextual way, but actually sort of like saying something the opposite of what they mean about social. And people are making business decisions based on what they're putting out there, when actually it was just clickbait in the first place. it's beginning to really, like, I saw a few pieces of evidence of this over the last couple of weeks, and it began to get
example, Eric.
Well, I saw there's a well-known LinkedIn guru based in London who put out I won't go into the details. I don't want to. Yeah, they put out a meme basically of how one particular aspect of a social media campaign was kind of like dead. And there was an image of this type of stuff is really fun and really cool, and this type of stuff is dead. Now that type of stuff is actually really important, really freaking important, right? And in the feed, thousands and thousands of likes and comments in the feed were people saying, "I thought that was the wrong thing that I was doing. I'm going to stop that now. Thanks, thank you."
Oh my God, yeah. Terrible.
So, and I'm looking at this going, well, this is desperate. This is absolutely desperate. People are making that are confused, are looking at this person who's supposed to know the way.
Critical decisions.
Critical business decisions. Based on shit. Based on drivel. Based on clickbait, fantasy, Funtime Frankie nonsense. People just leaving tripwires, leaving pitfalls, leaving traps with bombs in them. Just to really prove a point that they know better and that they can pull around and have fun with this.
But my point isn't the irony though, Eric, when they do that, often these people have got to where they've got exactly by doing those things they're telling it. So they're burning the ladder that they've climbed, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did, for the first time in a while, I thought I can't sit by and watch this happening. It's like watching someone who's abusing someone in public. So I decided to weigh in, and I did a bit of investigation, and the very subject about what this person was posting about that was allegedly dead and rubbish, they've done over 500 of them, of these things. So I went back in and I said, actually, these are really
articles on LinkedIn.
It was articles on LinkedIn.
It was articles.
Yeah, you're twisting my arm up my back here. I'm not gonna. So it was articles on LinkedIn, and so I wrote this big piece about how articles were a really powerful part of an overall content plan for individuals, and we should be absolutely homing in on that. And here's the reasons why. I give 7, and I ended it by saying, well, you obviously know this because you've written 500 of them, even though you're saying they're crap. And this person came back and said, "Oh no! I love them. They're brilliant. They're absolutely fantastic. I was just having a bit of a joke about engagement, but there's people in here, dude, that are making decisions based on this crap." And that's just one isolated incident. This happens all the time. You get these influencer types that have got hundreds of thousands of followers. They're supposed to profess to be LinkedIn specialists or social media specialists, and they put out 4 days worth of content about how doing this is really bad. And then on the 5th day, they do that, and people are going, I don't know if I'm coming or going here. I don't know what I think. As it stands today, if you profess to be a specialist or an expert in this very sensitive and crucial modern business topic, if you profess to be a specialist or an expert, only give specialist expert advice and support, which is proven, which is backed up with data, and will actually improve a business's situation. Do not try and trip people up. Do not try and be smart. Try and help people, because people are looking at you. And I think we're now in a position where, as social media coaches, this might sound a bit sort of highfalutin. Maybe I'm putting it into, I think we've got a moral responsibility to take that high ground. A moral responsibility. Enough with the crap. Enough with the leaving landmines for people. Enough with tripwires. Tell people, help people. We're trying to, and this again I might get emails after this or DMs after this saying, do you not think you're putting yourselves on a bit of a pedestal? We are the pioneers that are changing industrial commerce for the future, for the now and the future.
We are.
We shouldn't be trying to mess with people's minds. We should be trying to help them and try and straighten things out.
Wear the mantle of leadership correctly.
Well, I think following on from that, Eric, those kind of people that produce the little lollipops and toss them out there, pretty picture with a funny comment on it, a marketing person be like, this kind of thing. That gets 1,000 likes. It's like it's a vacuous thing to post. But also it is, as you said, it is playing to people's ignorance and worst fears.
Puppet mastering.
It's like when people say, and this is a shout out to everybody on LinkedIn that might see this now or in the future. If somebody tells you that they can do a half-day workshop that will solve your problems, they are lying. And the reason that they're lying is that if it was easy enough that you could learn it in a half-day workshop, there would be no roles for people like us that train people to do it. And you know, the irony of this, that, well, I'm going to stand up and give a masterclass on this and tell you what you need to do. That's great. All of the stuff that we teach people is in the public domain, but people don't implement it. In fact, they should. And we've had conversations. Tim and I have been in a meeting with a client, and the client has said, yeah, but, you know, we can do this. And we say, okay, do you acknowledge that LinkedIn is the most important business-to-business platform? Yes, I acknowledge. Do you acknowledge that there's 750 million people on here all the time? Yes, I acknowledge. Do you acknowledge that everybody that is going to make any significant purchase will look at your profile on LinkedIn and make a decision in part based on that? Yes, I acknowledge that. How long have you been on LinkedIn? Oh, well, I've been on LinkedIn for 10 years. Then why haven't you finished your bloody profile? And it's like, how can you be in this situation where you can be so, you say it's easy, and yet all of your actions demonstrate that it's well nigh impossible for you to do this. And that's because it is difficult for people to do this. And you can't learn it in a half-hour workshop. You learn it in a lifetime of change, like getting fit and staying fit, or learning another language, or learning a musical instrument. To keep good at that, you have to keep practicing, and you have to be constantly learning. And anybody that thinks that they can learn this in a half-day workshop or a book of 100 top tips, and 100 ideas for content that you're going to produce, please, these people haven't written anything in the last decade. Why do you think a pamphlet is going to change this behavior? Because it isn't.
Well, maybe when I started this, I can apologize to you. I didn't know if it would fit. Maybe it does fit.
You ready? Here's the caffeine has come through, Eric. Here it comes.
Okay, go, Mike.
You ready?
Yeah.
If in their headline they say anything like, I'm a #1 social selling expert, I am a LinkedIn guru, I am the, like, just block them. They're full of feces and they suck. They're the people who do this.
So I would maybe before you block them, they might be the truth bomb. Yeah. So here's my challenge to all of our lovely viewers and anyone who might see this in the future, because this is like a time capsule, right? This could be, someone could come across this in 10 years and say, you know, wow, who are these guys? These
how wrong
one of the reasons why articles are so important.
Yeah. So my challenge and my request to everyone out there, if you read some vacuous moron saying, hey, this is what you should be doing on LinkedIn, or this is what you should be doing, and you should, if you post on a Wednesday morning wearing a hat and you're standing upside down drinking water through your nose, you'll get more engagement if you put a post out at 7:37, not 7:38. If you hear all this kind of vacuous moronic nonsense, please challenge it and ask for data to support it. Ask for data. Ask for data. Thank you very much. This is really interesting. Can you show me how doing this will be better than what I was doing before? I read something the other day that someone said, you have to be using a certain hashtag, which is linked to your blah, 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 or your post will get no organic reach. My response back was, I didn't do that. And I got the most engagement I've ever had on any post by doing the opposite of what you said. My data says the opposite. What's your data? I didn't get a response.
What a surprise.
I didn't get a response. Please ask for data. Please ask for validation. When you're seeing this drivel in your news feed from these people who are usually, hey guys, I got some neat, just
emoji.
Ask for data.
Who was it that said, without data, you're just someone else with an opinion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that Tim?
What's everybody got?
Yeah, just witness the truth artillery barrage. Marketing social sales gurus, beware. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that principle really applies, to the folks who are not walking around, but the people who are looking around on LinkedIn and they're trying to figure out who should they be listening to. But it also applies right to management teams. And I've started talking about this. It's that start asking the question, why does that work now, or why doesn't it work now? Because there are reasons why behavior is changing. There are reasons why the email and cold calling don't work anymore. So we've got very good reasons for why we are advocating social selling, and it's both practical but strategic.
You know, I'd push that a little further too. The way this conversation is ended with Eric bringing this up, which was great, is question what you're learning in social media too. I mean, we've all had these conversations. Had one this week. Oh yeah, we're all over social media. Great. What are you doing? And what's the value? Oh, we have a team. We pay them like $3,000 a month, and what they do. And I'm like, and how's that working for you? Oh, well, it seems to be working well.
Great for visibility.
Right. How many meetings are you getting out of it? How's it affecting opportunity flow?
How much
revenue? Out of it? Yeah. How much revenue do you make from it? So you got a $36,000 a year investment. What is the revenue that you've generated? Oh, you know, those are good questions. I think just what we're doing is, you know, they're sending out
it's just visibility.
Connection. Yeah. Well, it's connection requests. And then if they get someone interested, they hand it to sales, who follows up, and then they post to our corporate page.
There's that wonderful cartoon, isn't there?
Where's the data?
There's that wonderful cartoon with the two stalls, like a show, and one of them has got comforting lies, and it's got a huge queue of people lining up for it. And the other one says uncomfortable truths, and there's nobody queuing to get onto that stall. And the reality is that people, honestly, everybody out there, if it seems too good to be true, it's because it is. You know, this stuff is hard to do, and that's why you're not doing it. Don't be ashamed of that. If it was easy, you'd be doing it, and your competitors would be doing it, but nobody's doing it. So you have to knuckle down. Yeah, you have to knuckle down and work hard and do the right thing, because ultimately the right thing always wins out, doesn't it?
Jan, man,
that's a great.
Yeah,
that's a great place to end it.
Do you have that cartoon handy that you can share?
Not so I can put it on here in the thing, but I can send it to Tim.
You need to
because there's a blog in that.
You need to put a meme out.
That's a good idea, Tim. A meme.
Yeah, do a meme, Andy.
Like I've got one little fun thing. Are we done with the order of business? So one of our friends, or this group of friends, yesterday, he posted something which was quite interesting, because he's on the hunt for bots. He's on the hunt for bots, and we're all attacked by bots and stuff like that. So one of our friends posted this thing yesterday, which caught my eye and made me chuckle, where he posted a chat with someone he suspected was a bot, and his first response back to them for the initial hello was his spidey sense went off, and he was like, "I smell microchips." His response was 2 + 2 = what? And the bot got, so I thought that was really funny, and I sent him a little personal note. And today I just blocked them, because today I had "Hi Eric" from a very attractive looking person from New York, and I put back 2 + 3 = what? And the response was, "Really? That's very interesting." Block.
No.
It's a bot catcher. It was absolutely magnificent. It worked today. So I saw it last night, tried it today, and it caught a bot. Reported and blocked.
Caught a bot. That's a blog.
I caught a bot. "Hi Eric," and I was like, "There's something odd about this." "Hi Eric, 2 + 3 = what? Really? That's really interesting." Okay then.
It is interesting.
So thank you to Mike, Thomas, Brandon, Adam, Lenwood, Eric, Jan, Robert, Odessa, who's gone,
Kevin,
Gary, Kevin,
Steve.
I think that's everybody.
John, Joanne.
Yeah, Tom, Dick, Harry. So thank you, and we'll be here next week.
Thank you,
Trying to
Tim.
find some controversial subjects to talk about.
Yeah, it's hard.
All right.
Great job, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.